Okay. Now I promised I wouldn't do any more of this stuff until it was in the car, but you know, I figured what the hell, I needed to push this thing as hard as I can on the bench just to see what it can do. So to that end, we have now gone to 48 volts. We've got extra batteries. I've hooked up the cooling system, so we have our tank, pump, battery, pipes, radiator, and I've got a fan here just blowing a slight breeze through the radiator core to you know, just to kind of simulate driving along at a fairly slow speed. Let's say I want that silly desk fan that's putting out there probably maybe 20 miles per hour tops. So in here got my inductor bank. I had to cool them in a bucket of good old H2O, and I still cooked some of the cables there, and it's getting to be quite tepid in there because I've been doing a couple of tests. Now what I've found here, I've got the oscilloscope, portable oscilloscope hooked up here through the diff probe onto the collector emitter of the switch IGBT, and I've got my throttle, power, all that crack set up here. So I've got the computer on here too, so I can keep an eye on things like currents, temperatures, all that sort of thing. But this is the fun part here now. So I can take my throttle pedal, okay, right here, and I can just do this. Okay, we're now pumping 500 amps, well 513 amps actually, out through the motor terminals into the inductor bank. It's starting to bubble inside the bucket, bubbling buckets. And I've got a very clean switching going on here. I've got 513 motor amps for 79 battery amps. My current heatsink temperature is 30 degrees centigrade. Got my cooling system here is easily able to cope with the heat that's been dissipated. The highest I've seen the heatsink getting to here has been about 32 C. I'm holding this at full throttle. We're not getting any heating in the bus caps, the bars. The only things that are getting seriously hot are these 35 square cow cables. So we'll go for throttle off at that. Now heatsink is now 32 degrees. Feel the radiator, it's just basically tepid. So I'll take the camera off the tripod and just go through some of this stuff on a close up. But it's been quite an interesting day. I suspect it's not exactly finished yet. Alrighty, so we got our dyno style desk fan here. It's not exactly a high performance blower. That's blowing onto my radiator here, which isn't exactly in perfect pattern either, but it's doing the trick. Now after that burst of power, we'll try and see this here, our heatsink is at 32 degrees centigrade, 90 Fahrenheit. Okay, now we had a peak of 513 battery amps for 81 motor amps. Got 4 AGM batteries here, and we're currently at about 49.5 volts. Those 2 blue ones would be a bit tired, but they can still put out some amps. Throttle pedal, 12 volt gel battery for the control circuits. We got the same cooling system as I had on a previous video there, so I'm not going to go through that. That's pumping away on a little, just a separate gel battery. We got the handheld scope. We got the diff probe, and as I showed earlier, we're just going in onto the switch basically. Now in here we have an inductor in the bucket, and the water is, oh my god, that's actually starting to get to bath temperature, so must be dissipating some serious heat in there. I did record earlier that at 500 amps I had 5 volts across the inductor, so what's that, 2.5 kilowatts, so I suppose I've got myself a kettle in there. So that is the kettle. We have our, everything else here is goddamn stone cold. Bus bars are barely warm, but these 35 square cables that I have here are not exactly adequate for the old 500 amp continuous burnout tire busting current scenario. So scary stuff, folks. Amazing what difference that those little resistors did for us there. You just changed the behavior of the controller entirely. I'm going to probably be happy to sacrifice a little bit of performance, or sorry, efficiency in terms of slowing the switching speed, just to ensure that the transistors and freewheels are happy in there. So what I'll do is now I'll try and get the old oscilloscope here on screen, and I'll just put her to the floor here. Full throttle. Burnout full throttle. So that's 500 amps going into the traction system now. No problem to it, and the water is starting to bubble, so that doesn't make me happy. There we go. I'm holding the throttle all the way to the floor. Now I can vary the throttle backwards and forwards as we would if we were actually driving. Up and down, in and out. And we'll try and get back over here now for some heatsink action. So there's our data, loads of throttle applications, and 32 centigrade. And PWM, because I would have been messing with that when the 12 volt was turned off. Just to see how high the PWM goes with full throttle. And it's only going to maybe 72. That's full throttle there now. Looks like 32 degrees seems to be where everything is reaching a thermal balance here. Anyway, I'm not going to keep filming. Just thought I'd share this. Hadn't planned to do it today, but yeah, you know, then again, why the hell not? So, okay, stay cool.